Episode 87. How does God know where he came from?
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday. That's, pretty much the most exciting thing that I've been through today. And of course, recording this episode. And before you dare start screaming blasphemy and, going down that route, let's start, with explaining what this episode is going to be about. Now, first of all, there's I mentioned this in the episode we have already done about God and being more tolerant about each other's beliefs, because I think your own belief always appears to be the right one, of course, otherwise you wouldn't be believing, and all of the other beliefs that are out there are inferior to yours. And I find that, since most religions preach that you should be tolerant of each other, I find this move and this attitude towards other beliefs and religions rather ridiculous and, in fact, blasphemous, more blasphemous even than actually, speaking about beliefs and God or, whoever your God is in that sense. I explained that, very in very much detail, my personal religious quest in that episode, which I think is called, if I recall correctly, When You Almost Find God. In that sense, let's get started with asking the question, with all the gendering going on, we don't want to disrespect anyone. Is God a guy or a gal? And there are many interesting discussions on the internet about this, particularly from those feminists who look more like guys than anything else, and kind of lead this entire movement ad absurdum. Yeah, of course, liberty to everyone, but don't start complaining when a guy wants a feminine woman, as most women want a masculine guy. That being said, kind of like as a joke to get us started, let's assume for a moment there is only one universe, and that's actually a very interesting question to ask in this context because of all of the discussion going on in regards to that there are multiverses and that there are connections between these multiverses. And, if you really want to fuck with your head, you want to go into quantum physics / quantum mechanics in that sense, and discuss about the different states and, the theory that, for instance, in a parallel universe in this multiverse, or this, in the parallel universe of this multiverse, there is yourself doing something entirely opposite of what you're doing right now. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes, when I listen and research this stuff, because I'm, very interested in it, you think about, God, do these guys who write this stuff have access to good shit? Just to try to think something up like that is, insanely difficult, even for me, who's a very creative person. But trying to wrap your head around that, wow, good luck without taking the proper amount of psychedelics or, whatever suits your fancy. That's insanely difficult. But, right. So this is assuming, right, that there's only one universe and God created it. Where did God come from? Right? And does he know? Does he know where he came from? Yeah, of course he's all knowing, but why won't he tell us? Right? I was like, why does he keep it a secret? He's very open in his other endeavors that he does, and shared all of that scripture with us, etc. So this episode is really about understanding complex thinking, and I think that's a series that we're going to make out of it, and that's why I introduced this episode, trying to figure out what is the best way that we can actually transport this complex thinking in the context that I use it, refers to confronting yourself with challenges that are insanely difficult to wrap your head around, and thereby training your brain to excel, to make it quicker, to make it think quicker, to make it act quicker, and, to help you with everyday situations, which are much less complex. But at the end of the day, this is due to the fact that you're, going to be able to think in over human dimensions and very much quicker than, your average Joe. You're going to be able to solve these issues much faster. And it's a very important skill to have when you are in a situation where you have to improvise. And I told you repeatedly about my fire department days, where, when you come to an emergency where there's a house on fire, you don't have too much time to react. And a lot of times, equipment has to be used in a different way to gain access to a building, for instance. And you have to misuse something for a different purpose. And that's where improvisation really, really, really helps. And improvising in a situation requires very fast thinking. And so, confronting yourself with challenges that are, very difficult to solve and to wrap your head around, helps you develop skills, or the skill of being able to think quicker, therefore being able to, for instance, allowing you to draw the connection that you can use a ladder to, open a window. That more to that in a different episode. Now, it starts with that, and then, it's the cosmos, and the solar system and the galaxy that our solar system resides in, are very good things to, number one, gain important knowledge. Keep in mind, a lot of this is theoretical knowledge, or theories, but to be able to grasp the dimensions, for instance, of what a light year actually is, is insanely interesting, and it trains your brain to think in dimensions which are otherwise, inaccessible, and, will, like I said, increase the speed at which you can think. So, as it turns out, not too blasphemous after all. Another kind of kicker, one thing left. What comes after the universe altogether? There you go. Now I've got you really, really, really thinking. And in that sense, today we're going to keep the 10 minutes. I'm going to wish you a successful day. If you have already had it, have a good night. And remember to share this episode with a friend or a family member, who can use a little bit of quicker thinking, or increase their skill at improvising, for instance. And if you haven't subscribed already and you're new to this podcast, listen to a few other episodes. You're going to find out they're pretty dope, and subscribe. If you have feedback, criticism, or whatever, email it to theverybestpodcastintheworld@gmail.com. And for a long time, we've been able to not tear apart the 10 minutes. Peace out. See you tomorrow.